the pulse of meetings and conventions in Pinellas County as it is today. I should tell you that in 2005, when I started at the CVB, we were assisting with booking approximately around 50,000 room nights with our participating hotels, and as of today, we're over 130,000 room nights that we assist with bringing into the destination. So the team has also grown from a team of 4 to a team of 10, including 2 satellite offices, one in Chicago and one in Washington, D.C. So the CVB as a whole is a lean, mean machine. My team is not so lean, but we are a mean machine. So we work all aspects of the United States as well as international. We have people deployed in the Northeast, the Southeast, the Far West, Canada, international. We also have somebody that works the Smurf market, and somebody works Florida Association and the local market, as well as the 2 satellite offices I spoke of in DC and Chicago. So that's a brief overview of the team as a whole. I think one of the things that we spoke about earlier this morning is kind of trends within the industry, and what we're seeing in the meetings and conventions is because the market has become so competitive and rate is, ADR is being driven up, and there's new product coming online. I think people that are looking in the destination are looking for something that's new, something that's unique, an activity that they've never done before. It's a little different from the leisure side where they come here and go to the beach, go do fun things. Meeting planners tend to look for first and foremost, they look for the facility, and then they seek to find out, what they can do to bring people off-site that's unique, but things that will keep them on-site, because the main goal, of course, for a meeting is for people to actually attend the meeting and not go out and go to the beach and do other things. So we've kind of been experimenting with that. One of our growing markets is the incentive market. So with that being said, it's kind of helped us along the lines of finding these unique activities. And then other people that are out and about, like Rhonda, she came to me yesterday about a helicopter ride that people can do in the destination. So getting intel from other people out in the county, gives us great ideas to suggest to these planners that help gives us a little bit of the edge over other destinations. For those of you that don't know, the CVB, I have a convention services department, or the CVB has a convention services department, and we offer a whole host of services, everything from printing postcards to groups that are coming in that they can mail out to their database, to get them excited about coming. Snail mail is always exciting to get nowadays because you don't really get any. and then, true. And we offer these cute little recyclable plastic bags that are stuffed with information, and depending upon what hotel they're booked at in the destination, we put the brochures in there that are indigenous to that area, restaurants, things like that. But one of the things I think that has kind of given us the edge over other destinations is our incentive program that we started probably about 8 years ago, and it was just sort of a way to be able to help generate, to help bring business into the destination. And since we're funded 100% on bed tax, it made sense to put money back into the system. So we started an incentive program that if the hotels were bidding against another destination on a piece of business, we would come in with a monetary donation. So what that in fact does is we would offer the group a credit to their master at that hotel. So we don't actually exchange money with the group, but we exchange money with the hotel. So I think if you ask any of the hoteliers around the destination, they'll tell you that this is...
It's a home run.
Yeah.
That's a very great thing.
It's definitely tipped the scales in our favor. And because, as you can see from reports in the paper, bed taxes up, and that, that's just more of an opportunity for us to give back. So I think that we see that trend continuing, as business gets stronger. I think with more product coming on board, I think it gives us the edge over other destinations like Miami and Fort Lauderdale, other beach destinations. we don't have a problem competing with Lyft so much. So they really, it usually comes down to money and what do you got to do in the area that we can't do anywhere else. So I think, is that my 1,000-foot overview of meetings and conventions?
Sounds good. If there's anything you want to add, do so.
I don't know, we, our push for going into 2016 is going to be the incentive market and the Latin America market. I kind of touched on it a little bit this morning that, typically how it works on the meetings and convention side is leisure goes in first and they start, digging up the market, and then we come in with the lawnmower later and we start, cutting out our segment of that. And so it's been, Ana Fernandez and her team have been down there. We've been working Brazil for many years prior to that, and now we're starting to see the fruits of our efforts in all over Latin America, Costa Rica, Mexico, Chile, and Argentina on the corporate side. So, and their main drive is always shopping and warm weather. So more shopping.
Yeah.
So, with a little bit of help, some more help in the Lyft area, probably. Our big push was getting COPA, and there's probably a few other things maybe in the works that will help us even more in that Latin American market. I think we'll see a lot more business coming that way. And the incentive market is growing every day, which during the recession fell off completely. We saw no incentive travel at all. So really in the last 3 years, we've just seen it coming back. So we're pretty excited because that usually brings a high rate with it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jack?
Thank you.
I'm staying nervous today for some reason. Let me tell you, that incentive, being able to tell a person after you've already negotiated and you're close on landing a nice piece of business, and to be able to say, listen, we could probably get several $1,000s for transportation, whatever it may be, from our CVB. That has won so much business for all of us here. I know from us personally, we've done really well with it. But, that's a great thing, you guys. Of them. Third parties, to give you a little bit of definition on the group business field, is a representative who basically does mostly site inspections. They're the ones that will go out and represent a company and say, hey, I've got a property for you in Clearwater, the Hyatt, San Cruz, Sheraton St. Keith, whoever. Sorry? That's not that's not in the group sense. That's not a third party. Anyways,
Yeah, that's true.
Katie, I would never. Thank you for warning me, though, just in case. Where was I? Oh, third parties. Anyway, they operate. They'll come in and they will be the liaison between that group, that company, and you and your property. Not always does it occur first. By that I mean you may be negotiating with the company and then later on find out that you have a third-party interest in doing it. They operate on a commission basis, typically 10%, in fact always 10%, at least I think. You know what I mean? Okay, and sometimes it can be out for 2-3 years in advance, and you have to chuck in 5% of that money 2 or 3 years in advance of when you actually will receive the money from the group. So it can be a little bit of a stickler, that's for sure. The inherent problem that has come out of this is, first of all, it's usually a bunch of washed up hotel people who are these people. And I've never trusted them very much out of experience. So they can be pretty conniving. I'm just being blunt as I can be with this, but here's what will happen, and it's funny if you think this is an unusual circumstance, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nance, but this happened today, as a matter of fact, earlier this afternoon. You'll be working away on a piece of business, you'll get a quote, and let's just say you quote them $200 for a meeting in October or something like that. So you go a long way, you start doing contracts, you get a contract out to these people, and you're feeling pretty good about things. And then all of a sudden you get a little lead from a Helms Frisco person that says, oh, I'm working with Susie Smarty Pants, and she's actually my customer. And what that tells you at that particular moment is that that $200 you got was just lowered by 20. It just meant that all of a sudden that 200 that was a net rate becomes, a gross rate, now becomes a $180 net rate. These are difficult situations when you're trying to achieve your goals that you've budgeted for and that you need to try to attain. And they're also make it difficult to go down the hall and tell your boss what happened, who doesn't like to subscribe to that. Well, just tell them no. And that's in fact, often you do start out saying, well, I'm sorry, we're working on this piece. We've been working on this piece before Susie Smarty Pants hired you. And that rate that we have is really a net rate for them. Well, here's the kicker is that they have leverage. It's a big organization. It's actually worldwide in many cases, Conference Directs, Helms Frisco, these type of firms. And they will say to you, if you don't help us out here, we aren't going to help you out there. That's some pretty strong conversation. It can be really frustrating because you realize you are boxed in. So oftentimes you acquiesce and you say, okay, all right, we'll do that. And you end up having to bite the bullet and learn the lesson from the next time. Or you can hold to your guns and say no. A good example, I got to tell you about, this was just earlier this year. There was one that we actually had the contract ready to be signed. It was in the process, it had been months that we had it. And suddenly a third party comes along and says, oh, we're now involved, we're working with this customer. And they really strong-armed us and said, this customer wants us to represent them. We originally said no, and then I called our sales manager in and I said, you know what, we gotta buy into this because that person, and we happen to know the company, has multiple pieces of business. And if indeed they're starting to work with them, then you don't want to cut your nose off despite your face. Is that the right saying? Anyway, so we turned around and we got that involved. Then, as if that's not bad enough, there's a further exacerbation of this dilemma in the fact that if you happen to be a brand hotel, which we are a brand hotel, Nancy's a brand hotel, they show up and say, Helms Frisco is our customer, I'm working with them, and we have to pay an additional 6% to the brand. So all of a sudden you've gone from a rate that you thought was the rate that you really wanted to get to discounting it by 16%. And 16% is a pretty good margin. So it really flip-flops on you. So this is the fun that we have with the third parties. It's inescapable. They're rising in popularity. I would say that probably somewhere between maybe 60–70% of our business is now handled by a third party. It's getting to be where it's kind of unusual if they don't, as a matter of fact. Even though they may have a full-time meeting planner on their staff, they'll still hire the third party to find the site. As I call it, there's a decapitation process. It's a nice word, huh? Going on with the brands as well. Listen to this. Starwood, which we pay big bucks to every year to be a franchise of theirs and for their system, their reservation system, and for their worldwide network of customers that they have. They have, as all of us in the hotel business have evolved into technology where everything that you do is now attached by that brand. For example, if you have an account that you've been working with in Chicago, the brand is probably right on it. They get involved through the computer, through the technology, through that they want to be represented on the account. Now, all of that sounds simple enough, and it sounds strong enough and good enough to make a good case. The problem is that they also got an incentive system within the hotel company to book business at other branded properties. So, in other words, we've got this customer in Chicago that we've had for 10 years. This is a real life example. They come to us every year in January for a very nice meeting. It's not a huge meeting, but it's a nice meeting to get in January. You're always glad to get wherever you can early enough. And throughout, because now that the Starwood has their hands on this particular account, the person that we work with, the account person with the company, sent us a letter that they received from the brand soliciting the meeting that we hold as a brand for other properties within the brand. In other words, they're actually become our competitor. Our own brand has become our competitor. Isn't that lovely? I mean, that's kind of the involvement of the technology of everything and how it all becomes intertwined now. And I'm not sure of the way out of it because it's just really a necessary evil that you've got to kind of go through. But that's what working with third parties is. It's like I say, just something that you have to do. They're not all bad. They are oftentimes can bring you some great pieces of business that you would not have otherwise come across. So there's some very positive things in that regard. It's just that it seems like the things that you remember usually are the ones that grab you and say, "Ow, this would choke me," and those kind of stick out, and they're getting more. So those are the cautions I'd throw to you if you're just beginning in the group market. I think I just saw Nancy Yosemite walk in. You're just beginning. You're just now starting to book group business. Yeah, so I'm sure you could benefit. I'll talk to you privately more. But anyway, she's standing up. I know what that means. I'm done. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah.
Nancy?
Okay, so now that Jack set the stage and explained how difficult it is to get group business to come into our market, I have the fun part of talking just a little bit about once they get here, how can we keep them?
Yeah.
So now that school's back in, we're starting to group up again, hotels have a lot of meetings and conventions coming in. One of the things that we do as a best practice at the Hyatt is we try to integrate things that happen in our destination, activities, things that are unusual. I know Sue's mentioned that that's a focus now for meeting planners to really try to find activities and reasons to come into our destination that are different than all other destinations. So what we do from start to finish is we try to integrate in our site tours, in our sales kits that we're sending out to meeting planners and potential opportunities, a list of things that they can do when they get here and talk a little bit about our destination. So what would really help us, and this is where everyone in the room as a tourism partner comes in, is that we always in hotels have up-to-date information about your venues, about the attractions, and I know all of you do a tremendous job with that. But because sales managers are so busy, it's great to have that just turnkey. So when they're walking potential clients through the hotel, or again, when we're sending information out before customers make a decision, to have all that information. The next thing that we do is when the group actually comes, once we get them in, and hopefully they're not through with our party, Jack. When they arrive, we have our concierge in our hotel actually call those meeting planners and welcome them to the destination. And when they do that, they talk a little bit about our golf courses and about our attractions that we have. And we know that the meeting attendees, when they get here, have a lot of free time. Sometimes not a lot, but they typically have some free time. So we also encourage the meeting planners when they're buying from us in the contract stage to book pre and post rooms. And the pre and post rooms that come into this destination are just, it's amazing at how many there are. And by the meeting planners doing that, the attendees then have an opportunity to invite their family or their friends to come either on the front end of the conference or on the back end of the conference. So I know at Hyatt, I know Desiree's here, our revenue manager, we do a great job of really going to her, the sales managers, and they say, hey, can we have an extra block of rooms on the front or back end? So that way when we're building it in our systems and the attendee goes on to book their room to come into Clearwater for their conference, they see that. So they see that there's availability and, you know, again, we're encouraging them to come. After the concierge gets a hold of them, we also have an opportunity, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but our mayor has graciously offered, and I'm sure he has come maybe to some of the properties in the past, to actually welcome groups when they get here. So typically during their kickoff, if the mayor's available, he will come in and he'll talk to them, and he's great at talking about the destination. He's very passionate, and it just really sets the tone for that meeting or convention to have him come in and speak on behalf of the city. And then again, it's planting maybe ideas in their minds of bringing their family back for a vacation after they depart. One of the things that we found too is, and I know Sue's touched on this a little bit, that trends in getting the attendees out into the community right now are leaning toward any projects that are charity driven. You know, a lot of our meeting planners want to come in and, you know, build bicycles or build rocking chairs for, you know, different facilities and really feel like they have a purpose when they come into the community. In addition to that, they also want to do things that might touch the environment. So, you know, that could be as simple as going out and cleaning the beach, or really getting into our destination and doing something that is meaningful to them. So when they're leaving, as the third part of it, we give them a letter from our general manager, and we call it a bounce back promotion. And this promotion allows them to have an opportunity to come back and bring their family or friends, or it's transferable for them to actually give it to somebody, because they may not be coming back for a vacation, with a really nice offer and an incentive to get them to come back here for a vacation. So start to finish, and everyone in the room, like I said, we encourage you to make sure that all the concierge and the meetings departments in hotels have information that is going to set us apart from other destinations in the country.
Terrific, thanks,
You're
Nan.
welcome.
Jim?
Yeah, it's funny, I was a GM all the way up until 96, and listening to the stories now, we didn't have to worry about that back then. So I have a lot of respect for the business of hospitality these days. So I tell a story a lot of times about collaboration and how it works well for you as a venue, you as an attraction or a hotel. When I was in Clearwater as the group sales manager at Ruth Eckerd Hall for several years, and I had this amazing opportunity to go over to the Dali and take over and create a group sales department from scratch. They never had one before, they've been here for 30 years, didn't really push that market. And so I was all excited. I had moved over, and they had told me that I had already been booked to go to ABA, which is the American Bus Association, to go in and meet with DMOs and tour operators and sell the Dali. So I was all excited. I got to go to my first trip for the organization, and I sat down. I had 67 meetings with tour operators all over the country in Charlotte. And I sat down, I started talking about the Dali and how great it was. And I started noticing that there wasn't a lot of interest in this, and I'm surprised. We're at the Dali. Everybody loves the Dali. Everybody knows the Dali. That's great. But the tour operators weren't so interested. And what I immediately realized is that my pitch to them was completely wrong. I couldn't consider myself as the selling feature that I had to sell. I had to change it on the fly and make it a destination sell. So I had to start talking about the Dali in Pinellas County, the Dali in Tampa Bay, and started talking about all the other attractions that bring tour operators in the area. I never thought that it would be a sales pitch for the city or a sales pitch for the destination or for your hotel. And so quickly, it changed completely. I started talking about the 100 attractions that we have within Tampa Bay, talked about the hotels that we work with in the area, all the great things we have in Pinellas County. And from that aspect, I was able to basically build a completely new pitch. And so in marketing that, I realized that the Dolly's not an island. No one here in this room is an island. You have to work with all the venues in your area. So when I came home, the next step I did was I decided to start making what I call suggested itineraries for my group leaders. I work directly with DMO and tour operators. And so rather than just selling the Dolly, I partner with hotels in the area. We have a hospitality partnership package that we resell our admission tickets. So they have availabilities. Nancy's one of our partners, have availability to help push the Dolly. We're at the same time marketing and promoting out the hospitality venues. We then went and, of course, you're always working with your competition in one way or another. So we started doing partnerships with the Chihuly and with the Holocaust Museum to make these suggested itineraries. My group leaders now call me the Julie of the Dolly because I'm Julie of the Love Boat. I tell them all these great things we do.
You don't look like a Julie.
I know, well, sometimes, but the thing we had to do is we had to look at making it a full pitch. We had to make a package for people. So the thing that I always encourage people when I speak about the Dolly is we're not an island. We love being with all the accolades that we have and the number of people we have coming through the admissions. But we depend on the other attractions within the market to bring those tour operators into our market, stay in our hotels, visit our restaurants, visit our attraction. We just want to be one of the places that you go. So as you're selling your market, keep in mind you're not an island. Sell your partners, even if they're your competition, use that to make it a better sell for you working with tour operators. So, thank you.
Terrific, thanks. Laura?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I have to tell you, at pushing 50, I can't read without these, but I can't see you when I look up. So they're going to be coming on and off.
It'll just get worse.
I know, right? So, Nancy, Anita asked me to share with you a little bit about the transportation perspective on group business and how we go about generating groups to come to this area and not just depending on our hotel partners to provide us that information. So I wanted to just kind of touch a little bit about that. I did want to just kind of give you a brief overview of our company because I know that I work with almost everyone in this room. However, there's so many facets of our organization that I don't think anyone really knows that we do. And I appreciate Anita inviting me to be part of this forum to share that. So with that said, we are an international organization. We're in 6 countries outside of the States. In the United States, we operate in 34 cities. We have Super Shuttle, which is our Blue Van shared ride service. We have our VIP ExecuCar service, sedans, SUVs, limos in some markets, and we also have cab companies in the majority of those markets. Now here in Tampa Bay, we have 275 vehicles on the road between the 3 fleets, and that does include 20 coach buses. So we really, myself and Samantha Scholl and Sammy Wellen, thank goodness those of you know I've been flying alone solo for 5 years. So I'm thrilled to have found these wonderful ladies to help me. But here, we do a really big business in the area, and it's not just airport. And there's pros and cons to how well our national marketing department has branded Super Shuttle, the Blue Van, because oftentimes people think that's all we do. But we really want you to know that we are a one-stop shop for all your group's ground transportation needs, not just getting out to the beach, but heading to the Dolly, heading to a Bucks game, a Rays game, a Blue Jays game, out to dinner. We can accommodate all of that. And another interesting factoid, I think, although I'm here to talk strictly about group business, our business is actually 75% residential. Our revenue in this market is 75% residential and 25% group. So most people are astonished to hear that. But that's why you see I do so much marketing to the residential community. So, factoid. So, okay, so conventions and groups, clearly one of the best sources of our group referrals are those of you in this room. And some of you sales departments prefer to direct the planner or the third party directly to me and my department to work with, so you don't have to deal with it, which I actually appreciate because it takes it off your plate. Also allows me to be the transportation expert that I am, and you to be the hotel expert that you are. And we truly view ourselves as an extension of the services and amenities that your property provides. And it's incredibly important to us that we know that we are representing you. If you're referring us, we better take care of that passenger. Because the very first and last impression that they have of our destination is our trip we took them out to Clearwater Beach. So they don't remember their experience if it's a good one when it comes to transportation. But if it's a bad one, don't want to go to Clearwater, I got stuck on this super shuttle that took me clear up to Palm Harbor before I ended up on Clearwater Beach. Well, that's actually not true. We have direct service from the airport to St. Pete Beach and also to Clearwater Beach. And what that means is that our vehicles, vans, buses, sedans, SUVs, do not make stops until they get to the beach. Did everybody know that?
No.
Haha, good. Another factoid. Thank you. Okay, so and obviously for repeat business as well, we depend on making sure that we collectively in this room provide them with a stellar experience so that they will come back. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm noticing a lot of returning group business coming later this year and into next year, which is just absolutely fabulous for us. A couple ways that we book groups. Most companies nowadays, I'm finding that they're not actually paying for their attendees' ground transportation. They're actually having the attendees pay on their own. Now, whether they're expensing it or not, I don't know. Frankly, I don't really care. But in that case, what we'll do is set them up with a customized booking link. So they'll go on our website to supershuttle.com, and when the attendee logs on, it will say, welcome, ABC Group, to the Hyatt Clearwater Beach. And I will go ahead and customize it for them. There's no additional cost, but it's a fabulous way for us to be able to track how much business we're getting to a specific property. I can also create, and for most of you I have, a discount specific for individuals to your property. And it's just a nice customized touch. The other thing that we do is we'll direct bill the account. So if the company is paying for it, let's say big corporation is heading down to Postcard Inn, they're taking care of their attendees' transportation, they'll provide us with a manifest, and my department will go ahead and take care of booking that. In fact, we prefer to. Another thing that I think is really important to mention is we will never book non-same flight arrivals in the same vehicle. There are way too many weather element variables, etc. People coming for a conference, they know they're going to be working 16, 18 hours a day. They just want to get to their hotel. So we absolutely won't do that. We'll tell them why, and very rarely will someone say, okay, well, we don't want to do business with you. Well, I'd rather not have them not do business with us than have us fail, because that's not at all what we want to do. We do also work the convention calendars for both sides of the bay. And by that I mean introducing ourselves, reaching out by telephone, reaching out by email, snail mail, love that, but there's so many. But we work the calendar from 1 to 3 years, introducing ourselves. I understand you're looking at coming to Tampa Bay, and we will talk about some of the attractions, some of the amenities, some of the reasons why they should choose not us as a transportation, but our destination as the place to host their group meeting. And you probably noticed, but for us, giving back to the community is extremely important. We are a sponsor of the Outback Bowl. We're a sponsor of the St. Pete Bowl, sponsor this year of the John's Pass Seafood Festival, corporate sponsor with the Dunedin Blue Jays. I'm on the board of the Crisis Center in Tampa Bay, Habitat for Community, the Micah Allstat Family Foundation. We do a lot with seniors in service, sit on a lot of boards, Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association. So all that is just indicative of the relationships, of how important it is to build relationships, whatever industry you're in, and that we're all here to help each other. And another thing that's changed the way that we do business is social media. And I, with everything I had on my plate, wasn't able to keep up with our Twitter page as much as I wanted to, because I was making sure that I was following each and every one of you so I could retweet. And now that I've hired Sammy, that's one of her roles, and she's already doing a fantastic job at getting the information out there. Plus, you know, that's her generation. She's fabulous at it. So I guess in closing, I would just say that we are here to help in any way. We absolutely understand that we're a reflection of you, and we want to do everything that we can as a partner to make sure that the guest enjoys every bit of it, comes back, stays with their family, and maybe even moves here someday.